All right, guys, what's up? I'm hoping you can understand my southern accent, but I'm going to try and give you guys a tutorial for how I've been doing these ChatGPT assisted base model mods here recently. Um, Pretty simple process, and what I'll do is I'll link the chats that I've got as far as how I'm creating the references, um, separating them from the reference sheet, and then rendering like a good 4K quality image once you actually have everything ready to go. But as far as this goes, I'm going to abbreviate a little bit of stuff just as this isn't like a 30-minute video. Um, Tonight I'm going to try and do a really quick one for Bob Backlund. So you can kind of see here on my sidebar here, we've got our template, and that's sort of where I start out at. I'll feed ChatGPT. I shoot for around 10 really good reference photos of somebody's face, um, and it'll usually give you a pretty good front, back, left, right, three-quarters view from every angle of the guy. Once you have that, separate it, render the 4K. Once you get past that, though, that's when I go into the base model recommendation. I can't really overemphasize enough how much work that'll cut off if you have a good base to start off with. So like for this video, we're gonna go with Bob Backlund, say about like 1994, near about. So let me go down to Blender. Um, Chat recommended Rowdy Piper from '98, so we'll give that a go. And you can kind of see here, I've got a few things that I'm working on. Um, but we'll go to Backlund here. All right, hide that. And if you'll notice here in his in his texture file, I've got his head color resaved as a PNG. That's going to be important later on whenever we get to the texture projection part. So um, hide the whatever the fuck those are. Click on the caruncle, the head. We're going to join those. And click on material. Delete that. Okay. Material again. Go to your base color. Now change that to the BNG that you just created. All right. Now you can also see in that folder, excuse me, I've also got the reference pictures that I've gotten from the ChatGPT workflow. So not perfect. There's a little bit of kind of a skew there where he's looking off to his left or whatever. But as far as what we need and what will work for us, this will be fine. All right, so back in Blender, when I've got the front lock view camera um, of our base model here, what I'm going to do now is find my reference picture, and we'll just drag and drop that right in here. I size it up. It's probably a little too much. Get it to where it's in front. Change the opacity to where it's about 0.5, and get it to where the texture is not loading. And from there, we're just going to kind of line the face up. And you can see here, we're kind of running into an issue where he's a little too off-centered. No big deal. So I'm going to pause real quick and we'll go back to ChatGPT, get a more dead-on, straight-ahead view, real quick adjustment. All right, so a few minutes later, this was the new picture that I got from ChatGPT. So thought about it for a second about just trying a different character. This may actually be pretty good for just a teaching point, though. Um, Whenever you get your references, always try to make sure they look as similar as possible to the blender pose, just so that your proportions and everything are kind of lined up right. So the skin texture on this one actually looks better. Um, this one's a little more high def, but like if we zoom in, obviously this is stupid close. Sometimes chat will give you like a almost like a checkerboard pattern on some of the skin pores, especially around the cheekbones. Um, then if you look at like this one, I told it make this picture look like it was taken with a 4K camera. The definition's a little bit better, but you get some weird shit around like the eyelids, especially, um, or the area under the eyes. And sometimes the skin pores will get this weird like wavy kind of grid pattern. So it's not a foolproof system. Um, you just have to check for stuff. But for this particular one, this face pose is going to be a little more conducive for the default shape of the head, right? I think this one will actually be better for the texture though. So for right now, I'm going to get rid of this one just for the sculpting process, and we'll get this one sized up. The main thing that I'm looking for here, it's going to be really similar to like if you've ever messed around with CAW mode or create a superstar mode, I guess is the current thing nowadays. Um, to where you're lining up your face scan or whatever. Pretty much the same process here. So I'm not so much worried about the sculpt itself. I'm more worried about how can I get the texture to look right. I'm going to rotate this one just a little bit so he's squared up. And take your time with this part. It's not got to be perfect, but just so you're not having to correct a bunch of crap later. Don't worry about the ears so much. Usually, what I'll try to do is look at the caruncles, the nose, and the mouth. So that's pretty close. We can work with that. Maybe make them a little bit smaller. Somewhere about there. I would suggest make the eyes and the eyelashes invisible at this point. You're not really worried about those. Um, all right, let's get started. So, elastic grab is going to be your main tool. Um, Typically, what I like to do is work from the outside, work in. Um, so at that point, think big adjustments and work in smaller, right? So let's make the top of his head a little smaller because that's going to push down your eyebrows, your eyes themselves, the nose, pretty much the top half of the head. So work your big adjustments before you get to the small stuff. And when you're doing that kind of stuff, make sure that your symmetry is on so the shit comes out even. There we go. And that's close enough for right now. All right, so the eyes both need to move up just a little bit. If the eyes themselves needs to come, both need to come up, um, usually try and click somewhere right below the eyebrows. That seems to be a little more even. And if you have to move back down, same thing, just below. Like I said, you're looking for that tear duct. That's not too far there. Jaw's not too far off. All right, so I'm not killing you guys. I'm going to pause for a second and I'm going to go back over the eyes and give me one sec. All right, so this is actually a pretty good one, especially for your older guys. If you'll notice his eyelids are very hooded, right? You got all this extra excess skin. Piper did not have that, or at least this model doesn't, and that's okay. So what we'll do, um, whenever you get to the eyes themselves, past the caruncles, and to an extent, the outer corners, you need to turn off your symmetry because each eye is going to be a little different from the other 9 times out of 10. So we'll bring down the inner part, and this is just the first pass. It doesn't have to be perfect. But the cool part about this is you're usually going to line up pretty well between the mesh itself. You see how everything's got its the carvings or whatnot versus the actual wrinkles of his face. That's what we want. That's how we get depth and detail. So we'll pull that down a little more, and you're looking for this brighter part that the light's actually hitting the mesh. That's what you're going to see. Don't worry so much about this darker part because once you bring the eyeball in, since we've joined the head and the caruncle, you're not going to be able to see that shit anyway. It's just going to be some shade of pink. And you're going to be checking crap a lot as far as turning like your visibility on and off. Um, that's okay. All right, so just for this side, while we're talking about the hooded lids, um, clay strips, um, the default strength is zero point 0.3, and that's about where you want it. But I've had some pretty fucked up shit. So I'm not going to just lay it down too much, but we're going to add quite a bit here. And this is all touch and go. The cool part about it, of course, you can undo it and retry again. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't look perfect. So that should be enough added on. Let's try to pull that down a little bit. That's pretty damn close. All right, it's just this one little high point over here. Not bad. All right, so I'll pause again because the other eye is going to be real similar, and we'll move on to the next stage. All right, it took a little longer than I was expecting. But moving on to the nose, typically with these reference shots, it's almost going to be like the head is tilted back a little more than you would normally have. Um, I'm assuming like what 2K has in their scan booths, but um, as long as we can adjust for it, that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's like you can see Piper's face is way more straight on, it's level. Um, our picture, like I said, a little tilted back. No big deal. We'll just follow what we got. Don't get discouraged too when you look at the side profile and it is all kind of screwed up. This is just so you can get your foot in the door as far as the first side goes. Um, this is all about setting your foundation for your first pass. So normally what I'll do is do front, side, and then like a small adjustment to the front because you're never going to be able to get everything lined up just perfectly. Um, but yeah, don't worry about this Dr. Seuss looking shit. We'll fix it. Let's just get it lined up for the texture. So you can kind of see on here, it's almost like we're coloring in the lines a little bit. So these lighter sections are going to be where the mesh is not in, if that makes sense. So just like that. And vice versa. If it's too dark, you want that even balance. That's close enough. All right, as far as the mouth goes, all right, so the Piper is flat as shit. We need to mimic this arch. So turn on my symmetry again, just so both sides are getting even. I'll turn that back off whenever we get to more like fine adjusting. And if you need to, you can always turn the opacity down a little bit so you can actually see what you're working with a little easier. That's better. Okay. So rocket science, I know, but we want the crease of the mouth of the mesh to line up with the crease of our picture, right? I don't really mess with the ears much on this first pass. Like I said, this is all about um, just getting your texture lined up. For right now, that looks pretty good to me. Obviously, we'll work on the cheeks and everything a little bit later. Let's play with the rotation here for a second. Yeah, let's give it a go. All right, so now that we've got this far, what we'll do is change from sculpt mode to texture paint. Doesn't matter whether you're using airbrush, blur, don't use blur, airbrush or paint hard or paint soft. Um, we'll go to texture, a bright light for this. New brush, open, go to wherever you have your stuff saved at. I've got my picture here. So if you've ever used projection paint like stencils for attires or whatnot, same stuff. Turn your alpha off. We'll go tool, change our color to white. Now texture, change the stencil, and make sure, there we go. Make sure you click your image aspect. Match our rotation from our reference photo. Size it up. It's pretty close. Getting there. This one's a little more difficult just because it's not your flat 0 degrees. That's pretty damn close though right there. Okay. Make sure symmetry's off. We'll turn our size up just so we can get this crap done pretty quick. Paint it in. Turn our image off. Go back to object mode. So there still needs to be a few adjustments made. Like obviously you can see the lines of the mouth. It's not perfect. Um, but as far as like the eyes go, that's pretty damn close. Turn our eyes on, they're going to be screwed up. And just a real quick edit. Um, to center up the eyes for your compared to your reference photo, click on the objects in object mode. I'm sorry, click on the eyes in object mode. Turn your transparency back on. Edit mode. Click over and drag. Control L. And we're going to move along that axis. Try to get it lined up as center as we can. See what that looks like. Yeah, it's about spot on. The right eye may be pretty good. All right, just a little bit. Yeah, you guys get the idea. It's not perfect. Um, and like I said, don't worry about the side profile. It's the same process that you're doing for the front. But you can see for no more than 20 minutes total of really just kind of tinkering with this, it's not a terrible start to back one. But just to get everything set up, that'll be this for the side, same thing. Go back to your references. See where I've got my right. Of course, I don't have the right for the freaking video. You get the idea though. If you've got a really big guy or somebody that you're going to have to make major adjustments to, specifically in the upper body, whether it's the deltoids, the pec muscles, or even the traps, what you could do is in object mode, um, click whichever mesh that you're going to work on first, go into edit, and what you're going to do is select all the vertices on like the borders, close, hit H, so that's going to hide them, and we'll want these as well. So all the way around, kind of get that collar thing, right? Whenever you hide them and you go back into sculpt mode for the head, let's say we bring that part out, you'll notice how it's still connected, right? So whenever you make those smaller adjustments, go back to where I was, um, you're not going to break your normals and have that discoloration between like your head being darker, or the head mesh, I should say, like kind of around this area. Whenever you rejoin stuff in your body, it should be one seamless piece. Um, Everything should have the same level of shine to it, basically. So that's kind of your intro for stuff as far as sculpting goes. Um, I'm going to try to do a few more of these as far as, okay, once we have our front projection versus when we have our side, um, how you combine those in Photoshop and whatnot. But hopefully this this will give you at least a little bit of a feeler to kind of get things started.